Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman on a gorgeous Friday. Best weekend of the year maybe is here. Whatever it is that you love to do, find a way to do it this weekend. This is spectacular weather, and everybody should get out and about and have some fun and be around loved ones and friends, and let's do that. For the next hour, let's all be friends, leading up to the Vince Show and talk about things that are important to us in our world in just a little bit. The latest on Jim Comey being indicted. My thoughts yesterday, we didn't get to this, on Quentin Lucas and his comments about changing crime policies in Kansas City after watching that minor beat up the usher at T-Mobile Center on Sunday night. Governor Mike Kehoe has made some comments about the Royals and Chiefs staying in the state of Missouri. We'll get to that. And, of course, Mark Van Parley will be with us. He had a big hit last night on one of his wagers, but we'll talk about that. But I've got a couple of other things I want to talk to him about. We'll do our famous picks now. We are 7-3 on the year. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
We are combined 7-3 through 5 weeks. We'll each give you what we think is our favorite play of the weekend. We've not discussed this yet, but we have to before we go on because we got to make sure we don't have the same one. That could actually happen. Especially this week, it could be the one that happens. So we'll get to that toward the end of the show. We begin today with Donald Trump, the counterpuncher. He's called himself that, but not for a while. It stuck with me because we're basically watching an entire presidency that is one giant counterpunch. It is clear to see that as President 45, there were a lot of things Donald Trump didn't know or understand about Washington, D.C. and what was happening to him. We saw impeachments. We saw, after he was out of office, they did arrest him, jail him, or at least get him in a mugshot. They had one lawsuit after another. We've seen all the lawfare against Donald Trump, and I don't think he ever envisioned when he first ran for president that it would be like that. The reason he didn't envision that is we've never, ever seen it before. So let's be perfectly clear about this. Anything happens from today going forward with Jim Comey being indicted on 2 counts, and he's going to surrender himself apparently now in the next few days or weeks. I guess he's not going to walk in today and do this, as was first reported. Anything that happens is not new ground. It's reaction. It's a counterpunch to things that were done to Donald Trump. Now, I'm not going to sit here and throw red meat at you and pump you up and give you a pep talk today like our Ryder Cup needed and didn't get, obviously, because they're getting smoked. We'll talk some Ryder Cup a little bit later on because Donald Trump will be there today. He is on his way right now to the Ryder Cup in Long Island, which is really cool. And maybe that'll make a difference when he arrives. It is a huge Republican conservative crowd in the world of golf. So I'm not going to do that to you and tell you that I think James Comey is going to get locked up for 10 years. I'm not. If he receives a year in jail, I'll be surprised. If they convict him and it's some sort of, I don't know, suspension, out on parole, a year on probation, a fine, whatever it may be, and he has to spend a bunch of money going through this, you just make a martyr of the man. He's going to write a book. He's going to get a TV contract. He's going to have all this stuff. But let's not forget how successful they were at going after Donald Trump's people. Steve Bannon went to jail. Peter Navarro went to jail. They got their houses raided. Roger Stone went to jail, got his house raided. They raided him at 6 a.m. They're not doing that to Comey. So far, this is not even tit for tat. The counterpunch is kind of a slap in the face and not really a punch. We'll see what it packs. I'm dubious of the whole thing because it happened in front of Congress, but then I don't understand all the laws as they pertain to Congress. It doesn't sound to me like perjury in an Enron trial where, $12 billion is on the line that you stole and you're trying to stay out of jail by lying about what you did with your bank records and all this other stuff. Those people go away for a long, long time. What we do know about James Comey is he is and always was a political operative. He was Donald J. Trump's FBI director, and Trump didn't know that Comey was out to get him. He figured that out, then he got rid of Comey and brought in Christopher Wray at the recommendation of others, and then didn't know that Christopher Wray was out to get him. Trump had 2 FBI directors, and they were both out to get him. Now, you may say Wray was brought in and people thought, well, he's a little bit to the right. He's safe. He knows what he's doing. He's a legitimate law guy. He's going to play this thing fair. And remember, that was Trump's first pick for an FBI director. We're going to play it straight. We're going to play it fair. I'm bringing in Christopher Wray. Just run that department. I don't really want to know about it. I got bigger things to do. And that's when Christopher Wray started doing things like turning on Turning Point USA. Did you know as FBI director, he was trying to shut them down? He was investigating Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. He was investigating media outlets and conservatives everywhere. We know back in the day, the IRS turned on conservatives and investigated conservatives and targeted conservatives all over the country to audit their taxes and squeeze them. Again, not a Republican play and not what we're doing today. What's Trump's reaction to the IRS being weaponized? His mission at the IRS, and he's made it very clear to the director of the Internal Revenue Service, what I want you to do is to reach as many Americans as you can and turn the IRS into an operation where they'll help them save on their taxes. I don't want you to spend all your time auditing everyone. Businesses, totally different thing. Individuals, the IRS needs to help more Americans who don't get tax help. That if we can find low-income families and save them $1,200 a year on their taxes, it makes a big difference. That's $100 a month. That might pay for groceries or enough gas for a car or two for that month. It's a big deal to a lot of people. That's the new mission of the IRS. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats wanted to weaponize the IRS against conservatives and audit individuals by the way they voted. And Trump wants to help any and all Americans, but especially low income. Let's use the IRS as a resource for these people to find a way to lower their taxes, and we take less from them. This is the most misreported, misunderstood president of all time. The Jim Comey thing scares me a little bit because I think that Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, I think they brought this up. The statute of limitations runs out on Tuesday, so the indictment had to come now. They couldn't do it after Tuesday. That was the end of it. So we get this thing 5 days before the statute runs out on Comey, and I'm worried that it's going to be kind of a nothing burger. I am. I hope it's not. I don't know what Comey did or didn't do, but he strikes me as the kind of slick snake that will always cover his tracks and not leave anything for anyone to get him on. The clips that I keep hearing, he says things like, it's my understanding that, blah, blah, blah. As far as I was told, blah, blah, blah. He never really, all these different clips that I hear, I never really hear himself put himself in harm's way. He's very slick. He's also a man that put seashells on the beach that said 8647, which is a former FBI director dog whistling, calling to radicals on the left to kill Donald Trump. There's no arguing that. There's no disputing that. That's exactly what he did. So the left will counter that there's never been a more politicized FBI director than Kash Patel, and that may be true. Kash Patel may be Jim Comey times 10, I don't know. But it's the first time Trump's done this, and he had no choice. He had to do it. He had to find somebody like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. He was forced to weaponize the FBI and go after the left. He has no choice at this point. After everything they've done for over a decade to him and conservative Americans and to our republic in general, there was no other alternative. Again, we can hate that it's a counterpunch. They're never going to paint him as that. They're never going to admit on the left. The media is not going to say it. The Democrat politicians are going to, unprecedented. Oh, this has never happened in the history of our country. No, it had never happened until Trump came along because of what the Democrats did. Did Obama's FBI go after him? No. Did George W. Bush's FBI go after him? No, because everybody was swimming in one giant lake called Deep State Lake, and they were all perfectly thrilled for decades. Since World War II, parties got along. Reagan and Tip O'Neill would have coffee in the Oval Office. They'd strike a deal. Everybody was all in everything together until Obama got there and said, no more. We're taking this thing over. All right, this is the revolution. That's what he wanted. He was never the bombastic out front person that we see in their party now. The people that are speaking, the things that they're saying, and the coalition of voters that they have and what those people are acting out with violence all over the country. But Obama instilled it very quietly. He took the high road. Everything that's taking place today is exactly what Barack Obama would have loved to have done in 2008. But they've been playing a long game on everyone. And it's been a decade of them owning the DOJ, owning Washington, D.C. We know how the vote goes, 92% Democrats in Washington, D.C. The entire operation of the entire federal apparatus of the United States government for the last 20 years has been run by the Democrats, and everything is moved in their direction toward everything they want. Trump is dismantling that. Do not listen to or take anyone seriously that tells you what's happening right now is unprecedented. This is a reaction that's probably too late in the making and wouldn't be happening if Trump hadn't won. Let me also remind you that Trump has over 3 years left in office, and he's in good health. This isn't going away. We feel like a lot of things have happened, but it's been less than 9 months. It hasn't been very long. We're just getting started. I can't tell you Jim Comey is the top of the mountain, and this is going to be great, and it's going to be the most perfect thing and awesome, and he's going to jail, and we're getting revenge, and no other leftist or FBI director will ever do this. But I can promise you this. The guy that's in real trouble down the road is Kash Patel. Because now that they've done this to Comey, you better believe when a Democrat gets in the White House, they're going after Kash Patel. And if you ask me today, if you just wanted to ask me today, unless Trump can clean this thing up, the entire apparatus in 3+ years now, unless he can get it to where it's 50-50, it's a balanced scale of justice, unless we can get that done in the next 3 years, I would bet money right now Kash Patel would go to jail and not Jim Comey. That the odds of Kash Patel going to jail someday would be greater than James Comey. We all know if you target someone, you can find something they did and indict them. The question is, can you prosecute him and put him in jail? They went after Trump's lieutenants. Again, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, Roger Stone, these guys were all jailed. There's more that have been in trouble. General Flynn. I mean, this is ridiculous what they did to Trump's people. And yet these people have come to work with Donald Trump, and they know when this is over in 3 years that they are targets. We need a greater appreciation for the people that are working in the cabinet and around Donald Trump. They are all risking jail time and possible ruination of their lives financially in sacrifice for their country. They're also physically targeted by the left. These are heroes, folks. We know Trump's tough. He's been shot. Yet another guy waiting in the bushes for him. We've seen all that. He's going to the Ryder Cup today. 100,000 people out on a golf course. He's going there. We know he's tough. Let's recognize that there's at least 100 and maybe more people around Donald Trump that are doing the same thing. They could all go to jail. Any one of them could go to jail eventually. Any one of them could be attacked physically by somebody who wants to kill him or take him out or beat him up. It's insanity. I don't see the end of this, but I know the option of not doing something to Jim Comey or not reacting and counterpunching is not an option at all. It has to be done. 913-408-7957 is the number to call. I got open phone lines. It's a Friday. Rush Limbaugh used to do Open Line Friday, so I feel like the same thing today. I want to hear what you think about my comments or where you think this is going at 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.
It's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, on the weather, she just said 10 degrees above our normal high for this time of year. Here's a question for you, Mark. In 2026, if you had your choice, every single day of the year, all 365 days in Kansas City, were either 10 degrees above average or below average, which would you take?
I'd probably go 10 above.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could be friends with anybody that said below. I hear people say that winter's great, but they hate summer. I don't get it. 10 degrees above right now in September is spectacular.
And even if it's in the summers, if it's 10 degrees above average, that's still not going to be absolutely crazy.
Because we never have days where the average high is more than 90 or 91, right?
Yeah.
So that would put us at 100 or 101. We would never get 107 again.
Exactly.
Or anything like that. I don't think we hit 100 this year, did we?
Nope.
Disappointing. Let's go to the phones. We got Steven up first on Uncanceled. Good morning, Steven.
Okay, what's going on? It's a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Listen, we got a situation going out in Long Island here. The president's. I just saw the president's jet flying in to save us here. This is my complaint with this Ryder Cup. We've got the greatest golfers in the world, but we have these wild card picks and these dudes I've never heard of, who are probably fine, upstanding citizens. They make a great living. They get rewarded by the PGA Tour for losing. Why can't the captains, I know this is all kind of a club thing, but why can't the captains get Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, Phil Mickelson, the obvious stars, the obvious best player, and we would pounce these guys.
Okay, I don't think you're talking about the best players. You're talking about older guys that are not actually the best players. The players that are there are the best players that have had the best year or the best year or two. Let me try to explain, Stephen, what I think happens in the Ryder Cup. I believe Americans believe in American exceptionalism, but more than that, our own individual freedom and liberty and control over our own lives more than Europeans. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me
sure.
translate that to golf. That means American individual golfers, for themselves, playing alone, are great. They're impossible to beat. When they come together as a team, they're not used to it. They don't really know how to play for a teammate. This is an individual sport through and through. When they play together as teams, it's a train wreck. It always is. But the Americans have always dominated Sunday, where it's singles, one against one. I firmly believe that is the biggest problem with American golfers. It's got nothing to do with being spoiled. It's got nothing to do with not having the best golfers. It has nothing to do with that. You cannot explain why Scottie Scheffler got smoked today, and you can't explain why Tiger Woods was as bad as he was in the Ryder Cup. Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer we've ever seen, and he got smoked in this thing time and time and time again. And do you know why? Because he would get paired with a teammate that wasn't as good at him, and he'd get frustrated with his teammate. And they'd lose together. And that's happening here.
Well, I agree with all of that, but just one time, we have 6 wild card picks for a reason. Just one time, the Europeans are hustlers. They're guys that don't make as much as our guys.
That's not true.
Not
true.
On the whole, they're more of a team concept.
I'm pretty sure Rory McIlroy is the richest guy there.
Well, I want to see us go with mean, hardcore guys like Patrick Reed and Phil. I mean, let us wear the dark hat. I'm tired of losing to guys I've never heard of. I've never heard of these dudes.
Sounds like the Live Tour is for you. That's where all those guys are, and they're out there doing their thing. So, go watch the Live Tour and enjoy that darn thing for what it is. It's great. But Patrick Reed is not one of the 12 best golfers in the United States today. I'm sorry. I love the guy. They call him Captain America. But Bryson DeChambeau has replaced him as that. Bryson DeChambeau is a great American. And he went out today and birdied the first hole, and it looked like they were going to win, and then they got smoked. All right, who's on one? Is this David? My screen timed out. David is on KCMO. Good morning, David.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. I am wondering what you think of Donald Trump's 180 on Ukraine. I mean, MAGA supported this guy because he's a non-interventionist. He wants to get us out of the war. He said he was going to settle the war.
Right.
And now we're signing on full tilt World War III.
I think it's BS. I think he's negotiating. I think it's all. I don't think he's done a 180 at all. I don't think he wants to do anything he's talking about. I think he's trying to scare Putin. We'll see if it works. I don't know that it will, but I don't think there is any chance we're putting any boots on the ground or running or flying our planes over and bombing Russian assets in Ukraine. I don't think it's escalating to that under any circumstances because it is not our war. It's everybody understands this is not our war. I think Trump is negotiating and trying to get Putin to come to the table. We'll see if it works. Uncanceled continues after the news.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio. 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Great to have you with us on this Friday. Thanks for joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. Nice job today by Paul Gallant, filling in for Pete Mundo on this day. Still ahead, our pick of the week. Mark and I have just discussed it, and we were thinking about the same game. So he's going to be moving off that one, and he's found another one. I said, I'm willing to move off that one because I got another one too. Maybe we should just dump that one entirely. Let's give that out as a co-play, and then I'll pick one and you pick one, and we'll just do 3 this week.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then not be responsible for the one that loses. That's the way you do things. A couple of big news stories taking place in our area here. One is Governor Mike Kehoe doing an interview and talking about the stadium issue. And the other, Quentin Lucas, talking to Pete Mundo yesterday about crime in Kansas City. And let's start there before we get to the stadium part, because I was fascinated to hear Mayor Lucas yesterday sound like a Republican on the line, talking about everything relating to the situation on Sunday night at T-Mobile Center, where Thomas Schenge, I think is how I don't know how you say his name, Schenge, 66 years old, an usher at T-Mobile Center, asked a young man to move to his proper seat instead of hanging out in the aisle and where he was. And it led to this young person under the age of 16, who looked like he could play linebacker for the Chiefs. Honest to goodness. He just looked big and strong and mean and angry and, just enraged at this usher that asked him to sit in the seat that he had a ticket for. So he picked Schenge up, threw him on the ground, and then just pummeled the living daylights out of him. When Schenge tried to get up, he pummeled him some more. He must have hit him at least 20 times, and it was as ugly as anything you could see. At that point, a really nice hero in this situation jumped in, named Antonio Clayton, and he jumped in and pulled the perp off the man. And I don't know if he saved his life, but he certainly saved it from being much worse than it was. He has since done interviews and talked about this and said there's no good thing in life if you're going to be a young man and do these things. He said, I was in trouble before, and I knew if I kept getting in trouble, this is an older guy, looked like maybe mid to late 20s. Said, I used to get in trouble, and I knew it was either going to wind up I'd be dead or in jail, and neither of those is a good outcome. This is the guy. Antonio should be the guy that we're propping up in Kansas City right now for everyone to see and say, this is the person that did the right thing. We talk a lot about these crimes and nobody jumps in. He jumped in and did the right thing. But Schenge today, the victim, is supposed to be meeting with Kansas City, Missouri police. We're going to find out if he wants to press charges. He's going to give his account of things and all of that. We still don't have the name of the person who did it. We don't have the age. We don't know anything about him because the person's not 18. This has to change. And we literally heard Quentin Lucas say that it has to change, that what we're doing with crime isn't working. And my response is, you're a second-term mayor. You've had all these years. You've not done it. So saying that something needs to be done and believing that there is a better way or we've got to do this, and look, this is nothing new. We're not cutting edge here saying 14 years old and up should be tried as adults. There are situations where they should. Every single teenage shooter at the Chiefs parade should be in jail. I don't care what anybody says. They were under 18. They were exchanging gunfire. A woman lost her life, and they're not in jail. I don't understand this. This is a simple concept, and Mayor Lucas is talking about it. When push comes to shove, the Democrats won't allow it. They won't do it. And I simply don't understand, of all the things that we disagree on politically in this country, how we cannot agree on our population's safety. American citizens, by the way. I've just this morning for the first time watched a video they released of that ICE detention facility. I don't know how many of you have seen it or not. When the shots rang out, ICE agents from inside the building went out to help the detainees get out of the van. They were like running to fire to help illegal alien detainees, criminal illegal aliens in a van. These are the bad guys? ICE is the bad guys. They went to go get them and help them, and they didn't know if there was more shooters, if they were going to get shot. Their instant reaction was, go help. That van's getting shot, get out of this building and go help them. And they did. And they pulled a couple of them that were alive out and got them to safety, risking their own lives. Nobody knew the situation at that moment. Nobody knew if it was over. There was no way to know if the shooter was reloading or had shot himself or any of that. There's real heroes out there. And most Americans agree that we will all do anything to create more public safety for all of us. We can't keep everybody safe. People are going to die in car wrecks. Bad things are going to happen. People are going to have accidents. People are going to get cancer and die. We can't keep everybody alive all the time. But you know what we can do? We can cut down on rapes and murders and assaults and all this violent, heinous stuff that we do in our society if we just jail people who do it. And we literally have a political party in this country that has been running for 15 years or longer on we need fewer jails, fewer people in jail, shorter sentences. Well, we're second gen now. You got older brothers. You got maybe there's a man around, maybe there's not, but the mom knows, the guys who lead the gangs know. You're under 18. You're not going to jail. You go do the shooting for us. I'm 22. I'm running this gang. I'm not doing it. They'll put me away for life. You go do it. They'll let you out. It's ridiculous, the situation we're in. And as much as I respect Quentin Lucas for saying the right things, I need him to do the right things. And one of those things would be a proposal and bring it forth to the council in Kansas City, Missouri and say, we've got to change what we're doing here. I know he's not the Jackson County executive. I know, it's not a legislative body, but he can lead. Quentin Lucas has a prominent enough position in this town that he can lead on this issue, and he really hasn't done it. Crime hasn't gotten any better. The homicide rate hasn't gotten down. And he thinks it needs to be fixed, and he kind of agrees on how. But then they just don't do it. They say these things, maybe it'll help me get elected. I mean, it's very disappointing. He also mentioned that the rapper that was at that concert the other night was given this proclamation from the city. And he said, well, I'm the mayor. I don't really know who the people are at the office that do that. And I've already implemented this in place. Everything has to cross my desk. No more proclamations for anyone. This rapper's name was NBA Youngboy. They canceled his show Wednesday night in Chicago because they were worried for security. He said, no more of these proclamations without me seeing it come across my desk. He said, I'll take the blame, which was great. It is his fault. He's the mayor. And Pete's like, so I can nominate myself and get a Pete Mundo Day? And they were joking, whatnot. And I want to say something serious to our listeners now. We got great listeners. How about some of you go on that website and start a Pete Mundo Day? April 2nd is the day that he chooses. That was the first day he was on the air doing this show. I think a Pete Mundo Day in Kansas City, Missouri would be awesome. So I'm probably not the guy to do it. Mark's probably not the guy to do it. But if listeners did it, apparently all you have to do is apply. And when you apply, it's free. I think it would be amazing to see Quentin Lucas's signature on the certificate that Pete Mundo would receive on April 2nd, 2026 for Pete Mundo Day in Kansas City, Missouri. We got to have a listener that wants to do this. I'm imploring at least one of you, but maybe 100 of you. Go do this and sign up Pete Mundo.
I think that would be great, and we could have Quentin Lucas in the studio to sign it and talk about it. It would be a great time.
If I'm not mistaken, I haven't listened to the audio, I think he suggested he'd approve it.
Yeah.
He said, we might have some people not like it, but I'd probably approve that one.
Yeah, I think he did.
There would be a reaction from people that Pete Mundo shouldn't have a day. I think Pete Mundo Day in Kansas City, Missouri is a fabulous idea. Go to the Kansas City, Missouri website, find out how to get a proclamation. Pete definitely deserves it more than NBA Youngboy, and there will be nobody regret this. And while you're there, find some other conservatives and Republicans and how about Harrison Butker? How about a Harrison Butker Day? That'd be great. Let's go with that one. That's a rubber stamp. Can you imagine the backlash if the mayor did not accept a Harrison Butker Day? Let's make it the day he won the game-winning kick in the Super Bowl. Was that like February 6th or something?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Everybody listening, go to the website and find a conservative in the Kansas City area and nominate them for their day. Let's get them on there. I wonder if it's public. Can you see publicly Who's nominated? That would be interesting. But it doesn't matter because you can then call the show or text the text line or send us an email and say, I did this. I nominated this person. And then if it doesn't happen, we'll follow up and say, why don't we have a Harrison Butker Day? Why don't we have that? I think it'd be great. But we got to start with Pete because I'm pretty sure the mayor said he'd approve that one. And I can think of no reason to not do that. One other Republican out there doing great work is Governor Mike Kehoe in the great state of Missouri. But he's said some quotes here that are a little off. Now, I read these quotes. I didn't see him say these. When asked about the Chiefs and Royals, he's in a new stadium, new facilities for each team, quote, I'm not concerned that we're going to lose the Royals and Chiefs. Now, he backed that up by saying, I'm more concerned about the jobs and things of this nature, economics and all these things. I think there's two ways to interpret the way he said it. One is, I'm not concerned that we're going to lose them because we're keeping them. And I don't think that's what he meant. I think what he meant was, I'm not concerned that we're going to lose the Royals and Chiefs because that's just a fluffy bragging rights kind of thing that doesn't matter. I'm concerned about the jobs, the people that work there, the revenue stream and all that, the taxes that those people pay that comes into Jefferson City, the income taxes. I think that's what he was more worried about. But I can't say for sure. He did go on to say that he was confident, he has confidence in the situation, that the talks ongoing are good. It happened the same day Pete had Ty Masterson on, who's running for governor in Kansas. And Ty Masterson doubled down and said he's betting. Pete said, you're telling me you go to the casino and the blackjack table, you're doubling down that both teams are in Kansas. He said, yes, it's a better deal. These people want money and the Kansas deal is better. Unless somehow it unravels that they want the entire state of Kansas to be the revenue stream to pay off the bonds or something ridiculous like that, I think they're all in agreement that the Kansas deal is better. Now, maybe they can't get there and have a revenue district, a star bond district that generates enough revenue over 30 years to get all that money back, but I don't see how they can't. Kansas has a chance to seal a team. You just do it. It's new revenue, and you do it. And if you make the entire Legends at this point, I mean, everything's paid off there, right? Is there anybody that still owes money at the Legends? Sporting's paid off for their facility. The Speedway's paid off. Speedway's paid off like 7 years early with their star bonds. All this stuff was paid off early. Bass Pro, Nebraska Furniture Mart, the Legends, they're all paid off. I don't think anybody, maybe that Margaritaville thing still is a star bond area, and maybe they have some money that has not been paid off because it's brand new. But you could literally hack out this redistricting we see in Congress. You could hack out Bass Pro or the Speedway or a couple of these things and say, we're taking the sales tax from that and carving that into a new stadium as well. And what you would do is you'd ask, if you asked Pat Warren at Kansas Speedway, would you like the Chiefs to build a new stadium here? He's going to be yes. So you'd be on board with us. We can take your sales tax instead of it going to the coffers in Topeka. We're going to put that toward the stadium. You're okay with that, right? You'll come to the news conference and support it? Yes, I will. What's it matter? What's it matter if you carve that out and it helps pay for the stadium? So I think they'll find a way. But interesting. A governor and a would-be governor both this week saying they're confident in these teams and they think they've got it. All right, we come back. We're going to give you Mark's pick, my pick. We are 7-3 on the year against the point spread. That's pretty good. We're doing better than I thought. But we're each only picking one game every week that we think is the best game on the board. That's kind of the concept of that. We'll do that. And if you want to go on a cheap area vacation and maybe get rich, I'll tell you how next on Uncanceled. We are brought to you today by bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. These folks are so great at what they do, regardless of what your situation is. And there are many choices in Kansas City if you need to sell your home quickly. But know this, customer service, compassion, and real caring people matter more than anything else when you're in a tough spot. And if you know somebody in a situation like this, and a lot of us have relatives or neighbors, and we hear they're in a bad spot, maybe in a violent situation, or they got to move, or they have a sick relative out of town, and it's time to pack up shop and go help that relative, and they got to sell their house, or they've already left. A lot of people move to take care of their parents. They go to California. Their parents are there. The house is left behind, and they just want to sell it. bestofferkc.com will help you leave the hassle behind for your new life. Call 816-338-SOLD. That's 816-338-SOLD. Or log on to bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind.
From the nation's heartland, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
I have a great idea for you, Mark. Take the whole family on vacation. It's not far away. You can get there in a day. I'm sure there's some hotels nearby that are not expensive, and you might be able to pay for the whole thing and then some. Are you interested?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Has nothing to do with betting on sports
Okay.
or a casino.
All right.
Have you heard of the Crater of Diamonds Park in Arkansas?
I've not heard of that directly.
Okay. So an Oklahoma family took a cheap vacation. They're from south of Tulsa. It was only about an hour and a half away. They went over into Arkansas. They went into the Crater of Diamonds Park, where they became the 405th family or person this year that has found a diamond. You go diamond mining. You go digging around and panning, not for gold, but for diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
She got a 2.79 carat brown diamond. They do not tell you how much these things are worth because they have to be cut first and judged and all that other stuff. This is not the perfect, beautiful diamonds, but they're all worth some money. It was the fourth person this year that found one over 2 carats.
Wow.
405 people have found diamonds this year in the the Crater of Diamonds Park in Arkansas. Last year, a visitor from France came over trying to find a diamond and found the record in the park, 7.46 carats.
So how much money is that?
It does. They won't say because they're not perfect diamonds. They're not, some of them are brown, some of them are colored. They have discoloration or yellow or whatever. So there's no way to know. They have to be classified, but they're all worth something.
Yeah. The girls would probably like to do that, actually.
It does sound fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Never did anything. We went one time to Colorado and went down. There was no gold in there. Right?
Yeah.
That was just like,
Mining
you might as
for
well go
gold.
to Worlds of Fun and have that, a river ride. We're going to pan for gold.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right. Did you see Tom Brady's comments this week about all the people chirping that he owns the Raiders, but he's sitting in the press box with the coaches while working for Fox?
Mm-hmm.
He said this is a bunch of people blinded by mistrust and doesn't understand it. This is the man who deflated footballs.
I was going to say he's a known cheater.
He is a known cheater. And he's saying, why wouldn't everybody trust me? I don't understand why any fan or any coach of any other team would be worried that I'm going to meet with your coaches or go to a practice and see what's going on. That's my Fox job. I'm not going to let that bleed over here to my Raiders job. Blinded by mistrust. This is the dumbest thing ever because here's the real truth. The real problem is there's 20 people on that production team. They have meetings on Saturday before the game every single week. They've all been to practice. And they sit there and have dinner and production meetings. You go, wait till you see this reverse they have in. They've got this reverse they use with Hollywood Brown, and he comes around, and Mahomes flips it behind his back and the whole deal, right? They're telling Brady that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's telling the Raiders.
Yep.
This guy belongs nowhere near. He's an owner. If he wants to be an owner, he's got to get out of the booth.
He needs to either stay in the booth and get out of owning or be an owner and get out of the booth. One or the other.
Get out of the booth. I'm done with him. All right, let's do the picks. We're 7-3 on the season. I think I'm 4-1 and you're 3-2. Does that sound right?
Yeah, Mizzou screwed me last week.
Only by half point.
Yeah.
Tough break. We were both going to take KU -5.
Yep.
So we have to go ahead and give that to everyone and let them know that was our favorite pick of the weekend, and we both agreed that was our favorite pick.
Yeah.
So maybe that's our best lock yet.
True.
Okay? I like it because I'm almost positive KU's going to win, and it's not the NFL where you win by 3 points all the time. Usually in college, it's 7 points, 10 points, double digits. So if they're going to win, I'm going to go ahead and lay the 5.
Yeah. Seems like a good pick to me.
All right. So we each have to pick another one this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who you got?
I have Ole Miss -1.5 over Alabama at home. Alabama looked pretty poor in week 1. They've looked good against the bad teams, but Ole Miss
Can score.
And they're a solid team.
And they're at home.
Yeah. Sorry, I said Ole Miss. I meant Georgia.
Georgia.
That was my fault.
Yeah,
Georgia.
Georgia.
-2.5.
Okay.
So, yes.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, it's
Same
Alabama,
thing, yeah.
Georgia.
Georgia.
So my daughter's went to Georgia. She's in a tizzy over this game.
Yeah.
She hates Alabama. I'm like, well, you've kind of owned them. So, yeah, I think Georgia gets Alabama. I'm definitely with you on that one. I'm going to go. There's no reason for me to leave this one. This has worked every game all year. The Los Angeles Chargers are where the Chiefs were last week. They're at the Giants. The Giants are starting a rookie quarterback, never played in the NFL before, Jackson Dart, from Ole Miss, I believe. The Chargers are a 6.5-point favorite. If the Chiefs won by 13 and played that badly, the Chargers ought to handle that one pretty easily.
Double-digit win, yeah.
We're going Chargers, we're going Georgia, and we're going KU. 3 picks this week on Uncanceled.